He then tried shapeshifting. After that, the black serpent burst into smoke and transformed into a large black dog. The once monster black serpent is now behaving like an obedient dog, wagging his tail and moving his ear. While salivating, it barked softly. Worried, the once monster black serpent wondered why he turned into a dog. Meanwhile, the bronze sword laughed so hard that the black serpent became a dog. He then told it that he was not laughing at him and reasoned he just thought of something funny. But black serpent was humiliated by the idea of becoming a dog. Consequently, the bronze sword continues making fun of the black serpent's new appearance. So the black serpent realized the bronze sword was obviously laughing at him and that he was not stopping anytime soon. Right then, the bronze sword told the black serpent to follow him and will show him who's the real boss. Later that night, the bronze sword and the black serpent arrived at Chen Pingyin's home. The bronze sword smiled as he told everyone that they had returned home, proud that he had done a good job taming the black serpent. Upon encountering Chopper, Phoenix, and Little Fish, the black serpent's eyes widened in surprise. He had expected to find only one tough guy, so he was taken aback by the realization that the entire yard was filled with strong individuals. At that moment, he felt a sense of dread wash over him, as though he had stumbled into a place he was not prepared to handle. Scared, Black Serpent greeted them timidly. After seeing this, Chopper told the bronze sword that the trash has been trained well. The bronze sword replied that it was all thanks to his big brothers that taught him so well. Chopper ordered the dog to stand up and behave like a dog in the yard, especially in front of their master, and that if he began to suspect anything, the black serpent would perish. As he trembled in fear, the black serpent obeyed Chopper's command. He then thought of what was going on with his body, and just looking at Little Fish made the dragon essence in his body rise up. So the little fish comforted the black serpent, assuring him that he would get used to it with time, bragging that even many people with dragon blood would struggle to see him. So the black dog replied he was doing well, further asking who the little fish was. Little Fish apologized for not introducing himself and transformed into a true dragon known as the Holy Dragon by many. Shocked, the black dog remembered that he might have retained some memories of the dragon he ate previously, as well as the name Holy Dragon. He existed before the world, with everything, and throughout time, he was the true ancestor of dragons. Scared, the black dog wondered why such an existence would live in the pond in the form of a goldfish, and he pondered how terrifying their master would be. At that moment, the wind suddenly blows while the leaves on the peach tree dance. A leaf falls and transforms into a person's feet. Then a woman appears. Peachtree called Xiao Linger and instructed her to persuade Chen Pingyin to take the black serpent the next day. Inside the house, Xiao Linger sleepily woke up and obliged the Peachtree's order, afterward falling asleep once again. At the castle of the Thousand Feather Empire, someone yelled that he wanted an explanation. Inside the castle, two men were having a conversation. One of them was sitting comfortably, while the other stood up, enraged, and posed a vexing question to the man he was talking to. The man sitting was calling the other man his father. Liu Zhengtao, the emperor of the Thousand Feather Empire, asked his father to calm down and reassured him that Princess Liu Yuxi, his daughter, had gone to find a treasure in a far and remote location. He explained that he did not know all the details about the princess's whereabouts. The enraged man's name was the imperial grandfather Liu, the emperor's father, and Princess Liu Yuxi's grandfather. Grandfather Liu said that the Tianzin Tower completely suppressed them overnight, and that the forces that cooperated with them before were baring their fangs at them. Clueless, Emperor Liu Zhengtao answered his father that he didn't know why they had turned their back on them. At this moment, Liu Yuxi came back and greeted her dad. After sitting on a chair, she stated that she had been on a very dangerous day and was fortunate to be smart. She inquired as to why the palace was so deserted that day. She then ordered one of the palace staff to bring her some delicious tea, which annoyed Emperor Liu Zhengtao since Liu Yuxi seemed to be in the mood for good tea. He questioned Liu Yuxi about her activities over the previous few days of her trip. Liu Yuxi snarled at Liu Zhengtao, telling him not to bother her, and that the sect masters were so lazy. She picked up food on the plate and stated that their empire won't even raise them like dogs. Upset, Liu Zhengtao told Liu Yuxi that it was sure enough, it was her fault. Confused, Liu Yuxi asked her father what happened. But Liu Zhengtao clenched his fist and asked Grandfather Liu if he could hit his adorable grandchild. However, Grandfather Liu asked to wait. As a result, Liu Yuxi was terrified. Following that, Grandfather Liu revealed his desire to join his son in disciplining his granddaughter. At Chen Pingyin's house, Xiao Linger woke her brother up with a happy expression. Chen Pingying was roused by her persistent calling and asked her what was the matter. Xiao Linger told Chen Pingying to rise and shine while a black dog was beside her. After being startled by the sight of the enormous dog, Chen Pingying asked how Xiao Linger obtained him. At the same time, the dog became frightened upon seeing Chen Pingying. Xiao Linger told Chen Pingying that the lost dog lying outside was cute and asked if they could keep it. With doubt on his face, Chen Pingying asked how Xiao Linger knew that the dog was lost. So Xiao Linger revealed to her brother what the dog had told her, so the dog was shocked. Fortunately, Chen Pingying patted Xiao Linger on the head, not believing what she had spoken, and told her to stop making jokes. Chen Pingyan then assumed that the large dog was let out for a run and got lost, so he suggested Xiao Linger return it to the yard in the hope that it might return to its owner when it gets tired of playing. After that, Xiao Linger obeyed Chen Pingyan. Chen Pingyan reasoned that because Xiao Linger seemed to like the dog, a strange dog on this mountain might not be feral. However, he murmured to himself that it was better not to mess with the dog. Meanwhile, Xiao Linger expressed disgust and informed the dog that her mission was complete, and it was not her concern if Chen Pingyan did not want it. After that, she suggested the dog play by itself. The black dog was frightened by Xiao Linger's abrupt attitude changes, uncertain of why Xiao Linger gave up so easily when she could have pretended to be her brother's adorable little sister to persuade him to let the dog stay. The enormous black dog wondered how Chen Pingyan would get rid of him as he walked and lay down on the pavement. Moments later, Chen Pingyan goes outside the yard and notices the dog that Xiao Linger had bought inside the house lying down in his front yard. Chen Pingyan walks closer to the dog and sits down. He tells the dog to return home and not attempt to steal any bones from his property. The black dog is visibly worried when he overheard Chen Pingyan speaking to him in such a manner. Right then, a system message that indicated a fresh task catches Chen Pingyan's attention. Puzzled and believing that a new task had arisen after completing the previous one not long ago, because this had never occurred in the previous 5 years, Chen Pingyan is given a task by the system to recruit 10,000 followers for his newly founded sect in 10 days. However, when the system assigns him a duty that is extremely difficult and nearly impossible, Chen Pingyan becomes hysterical. There is a second notification displayed by the system because the task does not carry a life-staking penalty. Annoyed, Chen Pingyan just wants to disregard the mission because there is no consequence. Afterward, the system displays a further notification stating that if he doesn't complete the mission, his manhood will be diminished. In a fit of rage, Chen Pingyan grabs a part of the system and slams it to the ground. Right then, a person comes knocking on the huge door. Chen Pingyan recognizes the person who came to visit him and grants him access to the residence. Grandpa Murong steps inside Chen Pingyan's home, and they talk as they walk towards the house. Chen Pingyan tells Grandpa Murong that he is acting all cheerful now that it seems the matter with the Thousand Feather Empire has been resolved. Grandpa Murong responds that due to Long Aoshan taking action against the Empire, the construction of the sect has been completed and can now start accepting apprentices. Chen Pingyan compliments Long Aoshan, but he thinks that it appears that the bug with his system is too strong. Even though he can't defeat Xiao Linger, he can order someone as strong as Long Aoshan around. Grandpa Murong remarks with a smile that Long Aoshan is quite powerful, and tells Chen Pingyan that a few days ago, there was a monster in the place where they were digging for treasure and was frightened on the spot after Long Aoshan arrived. At that moment, Grandpa Murong notices the dog in front of him. When Chen Pingyan turns around, he notices Grandpa Murong leaning towards the door with a terrified expression. Chen Pingyan asks what happened to him all of a sudden. Grandpa Murong thinks that the breath of the dog is the same as the black serpent that appeared that day. Chen Pingyan points out the dog and asks Grandpa Murong if he is scared of it. Grandpa Murong thinks that the appearance of the black serpent there means that it was subdued by Chen Pingyan, so he quickly denies the allegations and asks whether Chen Pingyan wanted to say something. With an awkward expression, Chen Pingyan asks whether they could gather 10,000 disciples in just 10 days. Grandpa Murong agrees to the senior's request and responds with vigor. Suddenly, a brilliant idea comes up from Grandpa Murong's mind, and he wants Chen Pingyan to lend him the dog for a few days and he'll make sure to accept 10,000 apprentices. Grandpa Murong thought that it is enough to have the black serpent accompany him, so Chen Pingyan considered how the demonic creatures in the cultivation book had a voracious appetite for blood and frequently went insane. As a result, he thought that it was not a big deal if the dog eats the chicken, but it would be bad if it attacks Xiao Linger. With this in mind, Chen Pingyan tried asking Grandpa Murong what he would do with the black dog. Upon hearing the question, Grandpa Murong responded with a vivacious statement that he would bring the dog to the town. It was evident to Chen Pingyan that the black dog was a demonic beast, as he had suspected. Without hesitation, Chen Pingyan wanted Grandpa Murong to take the dog with him, and the grateful Grandpa Murong assured him that he would gather 10,000 disciples in 10 days. With the black dog in his arms, Grandpa Murong approached the gate and carried the worried black dog to go to town. As the black dog telepathically called for little fish, he was promised that he could simply enter the house at night in secrecy. Grandpa Murong departed Chen Pingyan's house by taking to the skies, leaving Chen Pingyan anxious about whether Grandpa Murong could effectively perform the task he had given him. Concerned about the possibility of failure, Chen Pingyan considered accompanying Grandpa Murong. However, due to a glitch in the system, people could mistake his strength and be drawn to him, which could lead to a large following. He pondered the fact that he hasn't checked whether the system's bug affects other people as well. Ultimately, Chen Pingyan decided to delegate the work to Grandpa Murong out of fear of what the people would say if they failed to notice his tremendous aura. Meanwhile, in the Pingyan sect, Grandpa Murong arrived with the black dog after visiting the residence of Chen Pingyan. Upon arrival, the black dog angrily addressed Grandpa Murong and said that taking him away from Chen Pingin's house made him lose a lot of chances to get stronger. Grandpa Murong calmed the black dog down as he was trying to help him too. He warned the black dog that Chen Pingin dislikes greedy people, and if he lingered at his house for too long, he might be ejected. Additionally, he told the black dog that if he aided Grandpa Murong in his mission, he would convey to Chen Pingin some words of commendation that he assisted him in amassing 10,000 disciples. After hearing Grandpa Murong speak, the black dog finally understood why he was ejected from Chen Pingin's home. He bowed down in front of Grandpa Murong, thanking him for helping him. A sect protective formation emerged from the body of the black dog, promising to contribute a little more. After that, the black dog's spiritual energy filled the sect's protection formation, enabling it to repel an assault from the peak of the Mahayana realm despite being under attack. As a gesture of gratitude, the black dog offered the sect some weapons and gold because he couldn't use them himself. Grandpa Murong expressed gratitude to the black dog for the weapons and gold pieces and requested a favor to assist him in gathering disciples. Black Serpent transformed into his original form to help Grandpa Murong on his task, and Grandpa Murong mentioned that he hadn't seen the Black Serpent for a few days, noticing that he seemed to have gotten bigger. Together, Grandpa Murong and the Black Serpent traveled to the town. Meanwhile, Long Aoshin observed the Mahayana realm formation of the mountain sect's guardian dragon. However, he concluded that Chen Pingin's decision to provide them with this potent defense must be incorrect. Shocked by this realization, Long Aoshin began to doubt his belief that the senior's choice was always the right one. He assumed that these occurrences were tests that the senior made on a divine scale for the three parties. The Thousand Feather Empire was the first to fall because of its arrogance, despite being given a second chance. They refused to change their ways. Long Aoshin was startled to learn that he had passed the senior's test as a result of what he did while he pondered about the second test. After that, Long Aoshin observed and guessed that the mountain sect would be the third test, and they obviously passed it, so they were given a big opportunity. As he discovered how precisely Chen Pingin had arranged everything, his admiration for him grew. Therefore, he made a call to a subordinate, ordering him to get him a grand gift, which the subordinates agreed to do. However, Long Aoshin's subordinate questioned what kind of gift to purchase because he was unsure of his master's demands. So Long Aoshin asked him to obtain a present fit for an existence who resides at the very top of the mainland. Meanwhile, in Chen Pingin's household, the system popped up with a new message stating that the task was complete as Grandpa Murong and the Black Serpent had successfully executed their task. The system message surprised Chen Pingin because it had just been sent before dusk. Chen Pingin reminded himself that he needed to entertain the Murong family more effectively the next time since he was proud of what Grandpa Murong did. While sitting on a chair outside his house, he told the system to accept the reward for the successfully accomplished work. The system obliged, drawing the lottery reward. Although Chen Pingin thought it was total nonsense to say that he was unlucky to have picked up the sword from the mountain, he hoped he would have a better weapon this time. The bronze sword overheard Chen Pingin declaring him useless, which saddened him. The system displayed a second notification stating that the draw had been successful. Suddenly, an odd item dropped hard on top of Chen Pingin's stomach, making him cough. As he looked into the peculiar thing the system had awarded him, he realized that he had received a super fertilizer as his gift. Unexpectedly, Chen Pingin grinned at his award because he wanted to grow something in his yard. He called Xiao Linger out of the house and asked if she wants more watermelons, and they would go buy watermelon seeds. Thereafter, Xiao Linger eagerly followed Chen Pingin. Chen Pingin and Xiao Linger took a trip through the town, and they stopped at a fruit store to purchase some watermelon seeds. However, an unknown person was trailing behind them. Moments later, they got back home, and with the assistance of Xiao Linger, Chen Pingin started plowing in the soil. After the earth had been plowed, he distributed the watermelon seeds there before applying some of the system's super fertilizer. As Xiao Linger and Chen Pingin finished their work, they were delighted. However, Chen Pingin observed that he appeared slightly unkempt and peasant-like. Xiao Linger drew her brother's attention to the watermelon they planted, pointing out a finger to the watermelon growing. They were confused about what happened as it was just a minute ago that they planted the watermelons. Chen Pingin theorized that the system's super fertilizer was what had caused the plant's rapid growth, claiming that, in contrast to the rubbish he had previously acquired, he had finally acquired something useful. However, after hearing their master's comments, the objects that Chen Pingin acquired felt depressed. Xiao Linger asked Chen Pingin if they could water the watermelons they planted, but Chen Pingin rejected his sister's proposal to water the plants. He said that although the fertilizer the system gave was amazing, it couldn't be used much. He then headed inside the house to change out of his filthy clothes and get ready to cook. Xiao Linger, who was now dejected, switched her attention to the fertilizer and had the thought to simply put additional fertilizer into the watermelons without her brother's approval. So she continued to apply the super fertilizer to the watermelons since she was eager for them to ripen. When the watermelon started to develop and grow, Chen Pingyan asked Xiao Linger what was that sound. Xiao Linger had a worried expression on her face as if she was afraid of her brother scolding her, so she hid the bag of fertilizer and pointed at the watermelons to escape her brother's scolding. Chen Pingyan was subsequently intrigued by the potential of the fertilizer and said that the fertilizer is even more magical than he thought. However, he saw that the bulk of the fertilizer had been taken out of the sack. Xiao Linger told Chen Pingyan that she doesn't know and that maybe the wind blew some of the fertilizer away. Chen Pingyan believed her sister was beyond help. Meanwhile, an unknown person was watching Xiao Linger and Chen Pingyan as they exchanged words in the yard through the partially open door. Chen Pingyan told Xiao Linger to wash her hands, which Xiao Linger quickly obeyed. Chen Pingyan thought that the watermelon ripened so hard, and he doubted that the watermelon could be eaten. He told Xiao Linger before she rushes to eat, he will try it first. Suddenly aware that Xiao Linger was devouring watermelons left and right, he asked her if there's any problem or does she feel uncomfortable. Xiao Linger denied and instead invited Chen Pingyan eat the watermelon as they were very sweet. But he warned her not to consume the watermelons too quickly lest she choke and that no one would attempt to steal them from her. Xiao Linger ate the watermelons rapidly while not paying attention to what her brother said, reasoning she was worried he would offer them to the stranger outside their home. Chen Pingyan glanced through the door with a puzzled expression and observed that it was only partially open. As Chen Pingyan opened the door to investigate what his sister had said, he was surprised to see a little kid. The young child was frightened after being caught by Xiao Linger and Chen Pingyan. However, Chen Pingyan tried to calm him down by asking if there was something wrong. The young boy didn't respond, which made Chen Pingyan think that he had scared the kid. Chen Pingyan then asked if the kid was a cultivator, but when the youngster didn't respond, he thought that there might be a system bug or that the child was simply plain stupid. Despite his disappointment that the child couldn't communicate, Chen Pingyan still told the kid to take the watermelon and urged him to return home right away, so his family wouldn't be concerned about his whereabouts. After shutting the door and walking away, the child finally had a chance to catch his breath and admitted aloud that he was terrified. When Chen Pingyan first heard the child's voice, he opened the door for a last glance at him. After that, he just closed the door, leaving the kid dumbfounded. The kid believed that cultivators in their world were weird, and there wasn't a single normal person. Fear made the youngster run from Chen Pingyan's home as quickly as he could. For the first time, the kid was so terrified that he couldn't even voice a word when he sensed the presence of countless treasures within Chen Pingyan's home. He thought that Chen Pingyan was aware of him following him and didn't expect that such a high-level expert was living in seclusion in just a small town. However, he felt he was lucky that Chen Pingyan didn't blame him. Later, while eating his watermelon, the young boy speculated that perhaps Chen Pingyan didn't want to be bothered, which is why he resided in a remote area. Suddenly, he advanced by one major realm, and he surmised the watermelon given to him may have helped him to improve. He even thought that he was underestimating Chen Pingyan, so he realized he must be the reason for the sudden rise of a nearby sect. Addressing his grandfather, the kid murmured that the sect might not be as simple as they imagined. During this time, Chen Pingyan's household was on alert, and he thought that tightly locking the door would help them after noticing that a stranger was watching their home. After all, the super fertilizer was a real artifact. Chen Pingyan then ran across Xiao Linger and without hesitation, he seriously questioned whether Xiao Linger had a cultivation base. Xiao Linger was sweating as she struggled to comprehend her brother's serious question. She thought that her acting was so good, just like immortal, to suit Chen Pingyan's taste, so she silently asked herself how did he find out. When Chen Pingyan awaited Xiao Linger's reply, she finally responded affirmatively and did not dispute the existence of her cultivation base. Surprised by Xiao Linger's answer, Chen Pingyan inferred that he lacked a cultivation base compared to his younger sister. Nonetheless, Xiao Linger told her brother that she had much lower cultivation than most around her. Chen Pingyan expressed his surprise that Xiao Linger had kept it hidden from him for so long and asked her what realm she was in currently. With a hint of hesitation, Xiao Linger glanced at the woman behind her brother in the peach tree and spoke to Chen Pingyan, stating that she was currently in the key gathering stage. Furious, Chen Pingyan turned around to see what Xiao Linger was looking at, but there was nothing there. Despite this, Chen Pingyan inquired further about his sister's cultivation, asking when she began practicing. Stuttering, Xiao Linger saw the peach tree's banner, so she answered not long ago. Chen Pingyan quickly turned around to see who was standing behind him, but discovered no one was there. He wondered why Xiao Linger always turned to look behind the peach tree when she spoke, suspecting that someone might be providing her with answers. Scratching his head in confusion, Chen Pingyan walked away from the peach tree. Later, while serving watermelons to Xiao Linger, he warned her that what she did was wrong for keeping it a secret from him and threatened to seize all of her watermelons if she refused to reveal the truth. In response, Xiao Linger denied, saying it was not her fault and told him that Sister Peach Tree had taught her everything. Chen Pingyan was bewildered by her response and didn't understand which sister she was referring to. Chen Pingyan reasoned that everything on the planet that had lived for a long period could spiritually advance and become immortals, following the cultivation book. As a result, he approached the peach tree, confident that nothing strange had transpired since the system had delivered the sapling there 5 years prior. However, he thought that the seed sent by the system might possibly differ. Meanwhile, Peach Tree was upset that Xiao Linger had disclosed her to Chen Pingyan in exchange for a watermelon. Suddenly, a system prompt appeared in front of Peach Tree and instructed her to find a solution to avoid being exposed, or else consequences would be dire. Peach Tree accepted the task and cast a spell towards Xiao Linger, which could control a person's mind. As a result, Xiao Linger called out to Chen Pingyan, telling him she was feeling dizzy. She revealed the peach tree, together with the white clouds talked to her while the watermelons were waving. Chen Pingyan inquired about Xiao Linger's well-being out of concern, but as he touched her forehead, he realized she was hot. As Chen Pingyan looked at the watermelon he grew in his yard, he thought that the fertilizer's side effects might have caused it. With a frowning face, he carried his little sister, who had a fever, and tried to assure her that it was just a normal fever. Furthermore, Chen Pingyan encouraged her to remain strong. Meanwhile, Long Aoshan was meditating in a dense forest. The next second, he sensed something unusual and stopped meditating, following which a massive explosion descended upon him. Suddenly, a man appeared in front of him and informed him of his cunning ways. Alarmed by the sudden presence of an unknown person, Long Aoshan wondered why the person would dare to attack him without warning. Bai Gufeng, the elderly man who abruptly set off the explosion, revealed he had heard Long Aoshan's advance to the Earth Immortal realm, so he had come to greet him. After that, he questioned if he was not allowed to do such. Outraged, Long Aoshan rebuked him about the logic of greeting someone with an explosion. But Bai Gufeng silently thought the explosion to be extremely powerful, yet Long Aoshan easily avoided it without breaking a sweat. Bai Gufeng thought that Chen Pingyan helped Long Aoshan break through the Earth's immortal realm. Meanwhile, Long Aoshan mockingly told Bai Gufeng that he was too lazy to argue with him. He consistently made fun of Bai Gufeng, pointing out that the last time they saw each other, he was still in the peak of the Mahayana realm, and now that they met again, he was still in the same realm. Annoyed by Long Aoshan's constant mockery, Bai Gufeng told him to stop talking if he had no knowledge of the Mahayana realm. Long Aoshan, in turn, boasted to Bai Gufeng that he was much more attractive than him. Enraged by Long Aoshan's words, Bai Gufeng could only curse back in frustration. Xiao Linger was sick and lying in bed, and Chen Pingyan was standing next to her with a worried look. He murmured, "How come she has a fever all of a sudden?" He told himself that the watermelon had no problem at all, as he had tried it. He believed that the reason why Xiao Linger was sick was that she was a cultivator. Just then, someone knocked on Chen Pingyan's door and asked for him. It was Grandpa Murong, and Chen Pingyan welcomed him, telling him he didn't need to ask to enter every time. Grandpa Murong's eyes widened as he noticed the enormous watermelons. He was surprised that Chen Pingyan's yard was empty a few days ago. Still in awe, Grandpa Murong noticed that the amount of spiritual energy was thousands of times stronger than the most advanced spiritual medicine he had ever seen. Flustered, Chen Pingyan reasoned that Grandpa Murong might be interested in the watermelons. He proceeded to think that the book stated that if practitioners consume too much spiritual energy that cannot be refined, they will experience a fever phenomenon. Chen Pingyan asked Grandpa Murong if the watermelons might be elixirs. He thought that the fertilizer was magical and that maybe it could grow an elixir or something, for he didn't have any idea about cultivation, and that kind of thing must be possible. Grandpa Murong responded that Chen Pingyan must be joking and didn't believe that they were elixirs. Chen Pingyan was relieved that they weren't elixirs, as it would have been difficult if they were. He reasoned that Xiao Linger must have had a cold stomach, which caused her fever. Grandpa Murong informed Chen Pingyan that the sect was now open and welcoming disciples. He asked if Chen Pingyan would like to visit. Chen Pingyan said he couldn't attend because he had to take care of Xiao Linger, who was sick and resting at home. Grandpa Murong agreed but added that Chen Pingyan had a unique excuse. He didn't believe Xiao Linger was sick because she was immortal. Chen Pingyan told Grandpa Murong that he couldn't let Xiao Linger eat all the watermelons. He gave one to him and asked him to share it with everyone at the ceremony. Grandpa Murong accepted the watermelons, thinking that it was a great opportunity for them. He responded that if Chen Pingyan wanted to give it to them, it would be done as he wished. Grandpa Murong stored the watermelon on his ring, thanked Chen Pingyan, and told him that he would go back to the sect to do the opening. Chen Pingyan told him to forget about gathering 10,000 apprentices, and that it was all done now. Meanwhile, in the Pingyan sect, the newly recruited disciples gathered. Murong Su asked Grandpa Murong if Chen Pingyan would visit today. Grandpa Murong responded that Chen Pingyan had other arrangements and wouldn't be coming. Just then, the princess greeted Grandpa Murong, and he asked Murong Su to accompany her. The celebration began, and the emperor of the ancient empire approached Grandpa Murong and asked if he was free to have a conversation. Grandpa Murong was confused and disturbed by another Taoist, a supreme emperor of the Xiaojin mountain, and asked if he was allowed to speak with him. Someone had been planning to capture Murong Su and use her as a corpse weapon. However, as she turned around, she noticed the stranger's smug expression, which left her feeling uneasy. The stranger seemed puzzled when the sect introduced Long Aoshin, the owner of Tianzhen Tower, Zhen Dantang, the president of Shushan Immortal Academy, and Bai Gufeng and his grandson. The three powerhouses announced that they had come to congratulate the new sect. This left the stranger shocked and confused. Annoyed, Long Aoshin commented on why Bai Gufeng had come to the ceremony, revealing that he had heard about Chen Pinggan. Grandpa Murong then informed the crowd that the three seniors had come to visit, and apologized for not welcoming them in advance. Long Aoshin responded politely to Grandpa Murong, saying that they had already met before. Frowning, Grandpa Murong thanked Long Aoshin for saving his life last time. Long Aoshin replied that there was no need to be so polite, and that he didn't mind just calling him Brother Long from now on. Zhen Dantang then introduced himself and asked that they also call him Brother Zhen, apologizing for coming uninvited. Bai Gufeng was the last one to introduce himself but was interrupted by Long Aoshin, who called him a jerk. This infuriated Bai Gufeng, who cursed Long Aoshin. Grandpa Murong stated that the three of them must be there because of Chen Pinggan and invited them inside the sect. Zhen Dantang asked Grandpa Murong to wait and presented him with a gift, a painting called Dragon and Phoenix. Chengsang stating that if they gazed at it for a long time, they would have an epiphany and improve their cultivation. In shock, Grandpa Murong questioned whether the gift Zhen Dantang presented could be the treasure of the town courtyard of Shushan Immortal Academy. Zhen Dantang agreed with a smile, responding that it was a suitable gift for a newly established sect. Bai Gufeng presented his gift, a high-quality spiritual meridian that was good for improving cultivation. Long Aoshin interrupted again, mocking Bai Gufeng for only presenting them with a high-grade spiritual vein. Long Aoshin then presented his gift, an absolute-grade spiritual vein, which he suggested Grandpa Murong throw Bai Gufeng's spiritual vein in the toilet for being unsuitable. Annoyed, Bai Gufeng hysterically asked if Long Aoshin was competing against him, but Long Aoshin mockingly responded that he was just better than him. Bai Gufeng then gave his second gift, a purple gold card with a 10% discount on everything they bought in his treasure haul. Zhen Dantang's eyes grew wide, thinking that 10% off was like giving away half of his treasure haul. However, Long Aoshin was humiliated and replied that it was still garbage. He stated that he and Tianzhen Tower were always at Chen Pinggan's disposal, and that Bai Gufeng dared to make Chen Pinggan pay after buying something at his hall. Now angry at Long Aoshin, Bai Gufeng informed them that he would send his grandson to Chen Pinggan's sect starting today. Long Aoshin angrily replied that he was shameless and had clearly planned to let his grandson join the sect. Bai Gufeng rebutted that if Long Aoshin had the ability, he could also send his grandson, and proceeded to call him a 100-year-old virgin. Zhen Dantang thought that it's hard if the two of them kept fighting. The stranger arrived and assumed that all the experts had come to greet the newly established sect. He couldn't believe what had just happened and proceeded to believe that there was a terrifying existence behind the sect. However, one of his subordinates whispered about what they should do and whether they should go ahead with their plans on capturing Murong Su. Shocked, the stranger scolded his subordinate to shut up, but Murong Su turned around and looked at them. Troubled, he advised his subordinate to look around before speaking. Pointing at the strangers, Murong Su informed her grandfather that those people were trying to cause trouble. Three experts asked at the same time if anyone dared, and Long Aoshin grabbed the stranger, asking him what he was saying earlier. Long Aoshin stated that the stranger appeared to be from the Purgatory sect, and that he was unaware that he was in their brother's sect and dared to cause trouble. Bai Gufeng asserted that the Purgatory sect had no money but had the audacity to disregard his treasure haul, while Zhen Dantang also mentioned the sect's academy. Scared, the stranger explained that there must be some misunderstanding because he was only there as a guest. Grandpa Murong agreed that it had to be a misunderstanding and asked them to forget about it because the stranger was only a visitor. He asked the stranger if he had bought a gift with him and that it was fine if the quality wasn't great because they weren't picky, and that he could just use the quantity to make up for it. The stranger had no choice but to give them a large sum of valuable treasure. Grandpa Murong stated that he had no idea there would be so many treasures, which the three experts agreed on. Clenching his fist, the stranger threatened to kill them all in his thoughts if those three experts left. Long Aoshin informed Grandpa Murong that he lived on the top of a nearby hill, and would pay him a visit when he had the time. Suddenly, the black serpent appeared and transformed into a dog, worrying Grandpa Murong. With heavy breathing, the dog responded that he couldn't beat the man in the sky. Grandpa Murong and the others looked up at the sky, noticing the man, Chen Yanming, who said he had a big harvest during his trip to the mortal world. Chen Yanming found partially digested dragon essence in a dragon, but he won't be able to turn into a real dragon in the future. With a threatening tone, he told the ants below to listen carefully, that if they didn't want the formation to be destroyed, they should close the formation and hand him over the black dragon, or otherwise, he will destroy them. Frightened, Grandpa Murong asked the immortal if the dragon belonged to a certain existence, and not his sect's guardian beast, and if he wanted the dragon, he should ask Chen Pingyan. Chen Yanming considered what Grandpa Murong told him as a refusal and gave him 3 seconds to reconsider. Suddenly, a bronze sword appeared and told him what he was going to do now. Chen Yanming turned around and noticed the bronze sword and asked what he was doing in the place. Bronze sword replied that he didn't need to report his whereabouts to him and that the sect was under his protection, and that he should be embarrassed for being there, and called him a waste of the immortal realm. Chen Yanming realized that the bronze sword was guarding a mortal sect and wondered what happened there, and thought that the bronze sword's strength was no joke. Chen Yanming turned around and dashed away from the bronze sword. Bronze sword asked why Chen Yanming was running and told him that he did not allow him to run away. He then kicked Chen Yanming so hard that he fell to the ground, causing a huge explosion. After that, Bronze Sword instructed Chen Yanming to go back to the sect and apologize. However, Chen Yanming, who was still in a rebellious mood, told Bronze Sword that he did not want to apologize to an ant swarm. As a result, the Bronze Sword proceeded to beat Chen Yanming until he was wounded. Sometime later, Chen Yanming kneeled in front of the sect and apologized for his behavior. The Bronze Sword gave Grandpa Murong Chen Yanming's belongings and told him to leave and inform the others that he was protecting the sect. Chen Yanming quickly obeyed and left, but not before stating that he would definitely be back. Grandpa Murong then called everyone's attention and announced that now that the situation had been resolved, they would officially accept 10,000 disciples over the next 3 days. 3 days later, Chen Pingyan received a system message that the mission to recruit 10,000 disciples was now complete. He was surprised and murmured to himself that Grandpa Murong had not lied to him. Another system message appeared, congratulating Chen Pingyan on completing his 900 tasks, and stating that the system would now be upgraded to the highest version. A reward would be given based on Chen Pingyan's wishes, and he could now obtain simple items or repair his cultivation. Chen Pingyan was surprised and began to think about how he could become stronger through cultivation. However, the system update suddenly stopped at 99%, which made Chen Pingyan scream angrily and ask the system what strange resources it was downloading and why it was taking so long to upgrade. He then turned around and scolded Xiao Linger for not learning her lesson from her previous fever, and told her that she was not allowed to eat watermelon. Xiao Linger responded that the watermelons had nothing to do with her fever, but Chen Pingyan noticed that the system update had been completed. He was taken aback when the system turned to gold, and a new message popped up, stating that it had now been upgraded to ultimate mode. The host would now choose the future development direction. The first message stated that the host needed to wait for a task to trigger, and after completing it, some items would be randomly rewarded. The Raiders mode, on the other hand, featured an automatic selection of 100 realms from across the globe. Completing missions in these realms would allow the host to gain strength and power, and with every level completed, the host would grow closer to invincibility. Confused, Chen Pingyan asked if the Raiders mode meant that he had to fight people and doubted himself, as he did not think he could fight anyone in his current state. However, another message popped up, stating that the second choice could give the host the initial cultivation base since the host had no spiritual roots and could not improve by himself. The cultivation base of each level would always be at its peak. Surprised by the second choice, Chen Pingyan selected it, and his mode changed. He was now at the peak of Dantean formation, and he felt that his spiritual roots had been repaired for the first time in 5 years. He then formed a key ball and fired it toward the wall, making a small crack. Amused, Chen Pingyan told himself that he could now use cultivation techniques, but also thought that it was too strong. Meanwhile, Xiao Linger watched in the back and thought that Chen Pingyan's ki was so weak. Chen Pingyan called for Xiao Linger, and she quickly obeyed his command. He then asked her to hit him with all her strength, just like last time, stating that he would not dodge it this time. Xiao Linger obeyed his request and thought to herself that this was an opportunity to get back at Chen Pingyan for confiscating her watermelon. Surprisingly, Chen Pingyan noticed that Xiao Linger was mobilizing ki. Outside Chen Pingyan's home, a huge blow had been dealt. With one eye open, Chen Pingyan asked if anything had happened. Amused that he felt nothing, he complimented himself. Xiao Linger responded, accusing him of cheating and suggesting that it was because of the outfit he was wearing. Phoenix frowned, wondering when his master would regain his strength, and how it was still awkward for him to see Chen Pingyan in such a state. The peach tree responded telepathically, stating that Chen Pingyan was the strongest existence in the past after so many reincarnations. Chopper replied, acknowledging that it was Chen Pingyan's decision, and that they didn't have any right to interfere. Reflecting, Chopper stated that he recalls Chen Pingyan's invincible appearance from before. Chen Pingyan, in the past, was having tea and asked who was interrupting his enjoyment. At the time, he was alone in the face of a group of people capable of destroying the world with a single move and within a blink of an eye. Chen Pingyan from the past told the group of people to come on together because he didn't want to waste his time. Blood was spilled, and the group of people attacking Chen Pingyan was dead. The bronze sword had no idea that Chen Pingyan was once powerful, and this infuriated Chopper, who screamed at the bronze sword. A system message popped up, stating that the first level was ready, asking if Chen Pingyan was going to enter. Surprised, Chen Pingyan told himself that the system arranged a task so quickly, and that it was so much better than waiting for a new task. However, a stranger arrived, looking for Chen Pingyan. Chen Pingyan recognized Grandpa Murong's voice and asked the system to wait a minute. Grandpa Murong smiled and told Chen Pingyan that he had bought the dog back. Chen Pingyan replied that Grandpa Murong didn't need to bring back the dog with him. Grandpa Murong responded that they were now done accepting apprentices, and that the dog wanted to spend more time with Chen Pingyan. Flustered, Chen Pingyan inquired whether the dog wished to spend time with him. He asked if the dog was strong and if it didn't bite, thinking that now that he has cultivation, he shouldn't be afraid. Grandpa Murong responded that the dog was very strong and assured Chen Pingyan that it believed in Buddhism and also fasting and would never hurt people indiscriminately. Chen Pingyan was perplexed because he couldn't believe it was still a demonic beast despite fasting and practicing Buddhism. Chen Pingyan looked at the dog and asked if Grandpa Murong was telling the truth. He asked the dog to sit and extend his hand, which the dog quickly did. Chen Pingyan hugged the dog and told him that he was a good boy and that from now on, he would be called Blackie and asked him to follow him around. Grandpa Murong was amused that only Chen Pingyan could play with the dragon. Chen Pingyan spoke to Grandpa Murong and asked if he could lend him 3rd or 4th grade pills. Grandpa Murong was confused about Chen Pingyan's intention for using garbage pills, but it was evident that he was suppressing his ki to the first layer of Danshan formation, indicating that he may be up to something new. He took off his ring and gave it to Chen Pingyan, which contained 3rd and 4th grade healing pills, and told him that he could just go back to the sect and get higher grade pills if he needed them. Grandpa Murong assured Chen Pingyan that he did not need to borrow anything, as the entire Pingyan sect belonged to him in the first place. Chen Pingyan expressed his gratitude and told him that it was enough. However, he asked about the watermelon from the last time and insisted on taking 2 more. Grandpa Murong asked if it was alright, to which Chen Pingyan responded that it was only a few melons and Xiao Linger did not eat much. However, Xiao Linger became infuriated and screamed that she ate a lot of watermelons. Afterward, Grandpa Murong thanked Chen Pingyan for the watermelons and suggested that the pills could be traded for immortal watermelons, indicating that Chen Pingyan might have a vested interest in their growth. Grandpa Murong believed that Chen Pingyan could not find any reason to borrow the pills, so he used the watermelons as an excuse. He considered Chen Pingyan to be really kind. Chen Pingyan reasoned that 2 watermelons could be exchanged for a large number of 3rd and 4th grade pills. He also thought that Grandpa Murong was afraid, which is why he hesitated to accept them. Despite this, he still believed that Grandpa Murong was really kind. Chen Pingyan told himself that with the pills and the dog helping him break through the level, it should be a lot easier. However, he still needed a weapon. He considered using a kitchen knife but thought it was ugly. He then remembered the bronze sword and decided to take it. Chen Pingyan noticed that the sword had sharpened and he realized that holding it would be difficult without a scabbard. Suddenly, the bronze sword began to glow and he was surprised when a scabbard appeared on its own. He thought that it was worthy of being a magical weapon and tucked the sword around his waist. After calling the dog, he instructed the system to begin. Curious about their destination, the dog asked the bronze sword where they were going. In response, the bronze sword told him to just follow and not ask too much. Sweating, the dog noticed a system message that appeared and stated that it covered up the bronze sword's strength so that he wouldn't appear too strong in front of Chen Pingyan. Realizing that the system had strong coercion, the bronze sword reasoned that it must be the mistress, as his big brothers had kept mentioning. Soon, the mistress appeared and mumbled that she had finally progressed to the next stage. She added that she had not anticipated having to take so many detours and that it took so much time. She mentioned that it won't be long before they meet. Upon arriving in the northern region, Chen Pingyan was impressed by the liveliness of the bustling metropolis before him, deeming it a truly worthy city. Suddenly, a system message popped up and notified him that his name in this kingdom would be Long Aoshan. Furthermore, his mission was to let everyone in the kingdom know of his existence, and the reward would increase him in one major realm. Chen Pingyan was perplexed and wondered why the system would want him to use Long Aoshan's name. He mumbled that he would try to notify everyone in the country of his existence. However, he was unsure about the effectiveness of this tactic. To seek clarity, he called out to a stranger and asked for his opinion on the matter. Unfortunately, the stranger was not helpful and responded angrily, saying that Chen Pingyan was sick. Scratching his head in confusion, Chen Pingyan agreed that the system might not work for everyone. Just then, another stranger grabbed Chen Pingyan and introduced himself as Wang Dagui. Wang Dagui was amazed by Chen Pingyan's physique and assumed that he must be a cultivation genius. However, Chen Pingyan was annoyed and explained that he had no money. cheats, or resources. To this, Wang Dagui responded that he was not selling anything. He simply wanted to know if Chen Pingyan was interested in forming a team to participate in an upcoming competition. Curious, Chen Pingyan turned back and asked Wang Dagui about the tournament. Wang Dagui explained that Janwu Kingdom places great emphasis on martial arts and will hold a martial arts tournament to celebrate the prince's birthday. The competition will consist of teams of 5, and Wang Dagui's team already had 3 members. Wang Dagui approached Chen Pingyan and inquired if he was interested in the contest. He also mentioned that his cultivation level was at the first level, and that he was still under 30 years old. After careful consideration, Chen Pingyan thought that participating in the contest could help him complete his task and allow him to practice with people of the same level. However, he was also aware of the need to be cautious and guard against other competitors. Chen Pingyan responded to Wang Dagui, expressing his interest in the contest, but regretfully mentioned his current commitments. Wang Dagui felt disappointed but agreed to Chen Pingyan's response. To encourage Chen Pingyan to give it further thought, Wang Dagui suggested they could meet again later at the tea house. Chen Pingyan waved goodbye, assuring Wang Dagui that they will see each other later. Feeling rejected, Wang Dagui returned to the tea house and muttered to himself. However, a young woman approached him and suggested that he should look for another person to join the competition. Chen Pingyan observed that some people were having fun watching across the street. One person in particular was shouting that he bet 5 times and that every time he bet, it would miss. Meanwhile, the others were calling the host Liu Shuai a fraud and demanding their money back. Liu Shuai tried to calm the crowd down, explaining that the game was just a matter of luck. He told them that because they were angry, he couldn't beat their nascent soul's cultivation at his current stage. Afterward, he took something from his pocket and showed it to the crowd. The stunned crowd murmured among themselves, noting that such a young man was a 3rd-level array mage. Eventually, they dispersed and apologized to Liu Shuai, who accepted their apologies gratefully. Noticing Chen Pingyan, Liu Shuai asked if he wanted to try the game. Chen Pingyan expressed interest and asked how the game worked. Liu Shuai explained that the game was simple. There were 2 domes, one for Inedia period defense and the other for integration environment defense. He asked Chen Pingyan to choose one of the 2 and break it to get 10 times the amount he bet. Chen Pingyan responded that it sounded simple enough to earn some money, but he lacked a spirit stone. He inquired of Liu Shuai about the cost of a 3rd-grade healing medicine. Liu Shuai replied that the 3rd-grade healing medicine was worth about 60 low-grade spirit stones, but he made an exception for Chen Pingyan. Liu Shuai thought to himself that there was another foolish person who was rich, and that this time he must take him for all he's worth. Chen Pingyan drew his sword, causing Liu Shuai to be taken aback. He wondered if Chen Pingyan was wielding a low-grade magical weapon. However, the air emanating from the sword was thin, and Liu Shuai felt it was somewhat familiar. As he recalled, Chen Pingyan had a reputation for wielding an immortal artifact that descended to the southern region. With a smile, Liu Shuai increased the defense of the dome to such a high level that even Chen Pingyan's full strength couldn't break it. Despite Liu Shuai's efforts, Chen Pingyan slashed the dome in half, leaving Liu Shuai shocked and convinced that it truly was an immortal weapon. After severing the dome, Chen Pingyan was baffled and wondered if he had struck it so hard that he had also broken the bottom of the crown. Nervously, he asked Liu Shuai how they would calculate his winnings, thinking that if Liu Shuai knew he had no money to pay, he wouldn't hit him. Liu Shuai believed that if Chen Pingyan discovered he was cheating, he would kill him. To ease Chen Pingyan's concerns, Liu Shuai told him that he had won a total of 600 spirit stones. Chen Pingyan responded that Liu Shuai was quite honest and excused himself, stating that he had other things to do. As he walked away, Chen Pingyan considered himself lucky that he wasn't asked to compensate for the money. Liu Shuai, on the other hand, considered himself fortunate that Chen Pingyan did not become enraged. He remembered that the immortal weapon once stated that it would protect its master, even from other immortals. As he noticed that Chen Pingyan was being followed, he got the idea that he now had a chance. Meanwhile, Chen Pingyan also noticed the people who were following him and thought that maybe Liu Shuai had come for revenge. Liu Shuai greeted Chen Pingyan once again, and then Chen Pingyan asked him what he wanted. In response, Liu Shuai reassured him that he was not in the same group as the people who were following him and attempting to steal his money. He also expressed his belief that Chen Pingyan is a good man and said that he wished to assist him. Liu Shuai turned around and stared at the people following them. Then, he told Chen Pingyan loudly that no one would dare to do anything with his protection. Upon hearing what Liu Shuai had said, the 2 strangers were spooked. Liu Shuai told Chen Pingyan that no one would dare to harm them while he was there protecting him. Grateful, Chen Pingyan thanked Liu Shuai. Liu Shuai bowed and responded that there was no need to be polite. He then introduced himself to Chen Pingyan and asked for his name. Chen Pingyan replied that his name was Long Aoshan. Liu Shuai recognized the name because it was the name of the owner of Tianzin Tower, or it could be a duplicate name. He reasoned that no cultivator would ever dare to use his name. Liu Shuai thought that he had heard a rumor that there was an extremely powerful being behind Tianzin Tower. He assumed that maybe the man behind the tower was Chen Pingyan because he was wielding an immortal weapon. Chen Pingyan asked why Liu Shuai was sweating so much, to which Liu Shuai nervously responded that maybe it was because they had been standing for a long time. Chen Pingyan opened the door and greeted everyone inside. Wang Dagui was shocked and inquired if Chen Pingyan had agreed to join them. The woman immediately noticed Liu Shuai, prompting Pan Hang, one of Wang Dagui's teammates, to ask why Chen Pingyan brought an extra person. He turned to Liu Shuai and inquired about his presence there. Liu Shuai explained that he was interested in the competition and intended to join their team with Chen Pingyan. The woman was delighted by this news and stated that their team would now have a better chance of winning the championship with Liu Shuai on board. Pan Hang, on the other hand, was angry that he was no longer the highest cultivated person on the team. He had initially joined the team with the sole intention of seducing Fei Shan's interest, but he did not expect that Chen Pingyan would be able to recruit Liu Shuai as well. He then noticed the dog and asked why Chen Pingyan had brought it along. Chen Pingyan explained that the dog was not just any ordinary dog, but a demonic beast. Amused, Pan Hang expressed his disbelief, stating that Chen Pingyan had never seen the world and that the dog was not a demonic beast. However, as the dog approached him, Pan Hang started to feel a little intimidated and began to stutter. Pan Hang unexpectedly kneeled, leaving everyone perplexed. Liu Shuai, grinning, believed the dog was a demonic beast, despite its appearance being indistinguishable from a normal dog, and thought that Chen Pingyan was not an ordinary guy. The dog, however, seemed to think that they dared to be complacent. Pan Hang asserted that he had merely fallen and was baffled as to why he experienced such intense pressure at that moment, insisting that the dog was just like any other dog. Chen Pingyan inquired if Pan Hang had encountered a ghost or if he was simply suffering from kidney disease. Feeling humiliated, Pan Hang retorted, claiming he hadn't seen a ghost and had only slipped and fallen. Tian Shan intervened, halting their quarrel, and reminded them that the competition was fast approaching, so they needed to hasten to the Beast Mountains to gain experience. Some time later, at the Beast Mountains, Chen Pingyan expressed his confusion as to why they hadn't encountered a single beast since arriving. Tian Shan explained that they hadn't come at the opportune time, and when no low-level beasts were around, a powerful beast might emerge. She cautioned Chen Pingyan that when a powerful beast appeared, they would protect him, as he was the least skilled among them, and that he should seize any opportunity to strike at the vital points. Pan Hang reassured Tian Shan not to worry about their strength, as no beast would pose a threat, and they were there to gain experience. There was no need to protect Chen Pingyan. Tian Shan turned to Pan Hang and advised him to cease talking. Pan Hang became infuriated and glared at Chen Pingyan. Sensing Pan Hang's anger, Chen Pingyan pondered the possibility that Pan Hang was targeting him, and lamented that he didn't have spiritual roots to gauge other people's levels if he was indeed strong. Meanwhile, Bronze Sword asked the dog if his dragon presence had leaked. The dog admitted he didn't know and inquired if Bronze Sword had sensed it. Bronze Sword explained that his cultivation level was substantially higher than his companions, making it challenging to detect any leakage of his breath. He reassured the dog that even if they left some traces, it was improbable they would encounter any beasts during their journey. The dog grinned, informing Bronze Sword that he would capture a few beasts to train them, and mentioned that Pan Hang had irritated him. Trembling, a bear called out for his brother, revealing that he had seen a frightening figure on the other side of the mountain. Amused, Xingda, the older brother bear, dismissed his concerns, stating that he was now in the nascent soul realm and that no being could defeat them. The dog materialized behind them, challenging them to confront the terrifying figure if they were unafraid. Xingda eagerly accepted the challenge. However, when he turned around, he was stunned by the sight before him, as he felt the powerful presence of the dragon looming behind him. In shock, Xingda choked his brother, Xing'er, exclaiming that he was about to suffocate. He then asked the dog what he was doing there. The dog assured them that he wouldn't harm them if they followed his instructions and did him a favor. As Chen Pingyan and the others continued their trek around the mountain, Chen Pingyan spotted a massive bear up ahead and alerted the group. Pan Hang inquired about the beast's location, determined to demonstrate his skills to Tian Shan, Chen Pingyan, and Liu Shuai. He concentrated his ki into his fist and instructed the group to observe. Pan Hang struck Xingda, but the attack proved ineffective. Pan Hang's eyes widened in astonishment as he realized the beast was in the nascent soul realm, just as he was about to be hit by its powerful paws. Xingda's counterattack sent Pan Hang flying a considerable distance. Terrified, Tian Shan deduced that an even more formidable beast had appeared, one in the nascent soul realm, despite the fact that the strongest member of their group was only at the 7th layer of Danshin formation. She contemplated searching for a way to escape. Undeterred, Chen Pingyan charged toward the giant bear. Chen Pingyan swiftly halted Xingda's attack, leaving the member both stunned and perplexed. Xingda quickly snapped out of it, thinking that he was fortunate to have held back, and remembering that the dog had warned him that if he injured Chen Pingyan, he would meet a horrible end. Chen Pingyan considered himself lucky to have deflected the bear's attack, as he would have perished otherwise. Puzzled, he turned around, wondering why his group was maintaining such a distance even though he had successfully blocked the attack. Liu Shuai explained to him that they were leaving the situation to Chen Pinggan. Evaluating the situation, Chen Pinggan thought that the beast might be weak, and that the group didn't need the others to intervene, believing that the bear was only in the first Danshin formation. He concluded that they wanted him to demonstrate his abilities, which is why they let him handle it. Focusing his ki on his fist, Chen Pinggan reminded himself that he couldn't let his group down. He launched a punch at the bear, causing it to stumble. Xingda rationalized that he should pretend to be injured. Seizing the opportunity, Chen Pinggan leaped towards the bear and attacked him. Xingda telepathically questioned the dog as to why Chen Pinggan was genuinely coming after him. The dog responded mockingly, stating that it wasn't his concern anymore. Feeling upset, the bear bellowed at the dog. Xingda realized that if he continued to fool around, he might actually lose his life. He turned around and charged at the others, contemplating attacking them instead of Chen Pinggan. Chen Pinggan shouted that as long as he was present, they shouldn't even consider attacking his group. Embarrassed, Xingda turned around and retreated. Pan Hang awoke and inquired about the situation, mentioning that he could only recall being thrown. Xingda appeared before Pan Hang, who screamed in terror. After a while, they resumed their trek around the mountain, and Pan Hang wondered why he was the only one being targeted. Wang Dagui suggested that perhaps he had offended the bear in the past. Fei Shang complimented Chen Pinggan, admitting that she had been worried about him earlier but had changed her mind, and asked if they could rely on him for the martial arts competition. Chen Pinggan replied, believing that Fei Shang must be joking. Pan Hang angrily turned around, wondering why Chen Pinggan had become the center of attention, and how he would humiliate him if a new monster were to appear. Suddenly, a beast's hand grasped Pan Hang. Pan Hang turned around, assuming it was Wang Dagui, and asked what he wanted. Startled, Pan Hang questioned why he was the only one being pursued by all the beasts. Tian Shan Shan clarified that her sole intention was to practice teamwork, never anticipating the numerous accidents that would transpire. Injured, Pan Hang weakly inquired why this had happened. Wang Dagui, supporting Pan Hang, reassured him that his injuries were not severe, and that he would recover after several days of rest. Wang Dagui found it perplexing that Pan Hang's battered body was not severely injured, unsure whether to consider him fortunate or not. Chen Pinggan expressed surprise at Pan Hang's pitiful state, as he had initially believed Pan Hang to be strong and capable of defeating a monster. He encouraged Pan Hang to continue practicing despite being the weakest, emphasizing the importance of perseverance. Upon hearing Chen Pinggan's words, Pan Hang lost consciousness. Wang Dagui mused that Pan Hang was fortunate to not have offended Chen Pinggan, given the way he had been reprimanded. Chen Pinggan notified Liu Shuai of his impending departure for the Alchemy Guild, mentioning they would meet again the following day. Liu Shuai replied, stating that he was coincidentally planning to visit the Alchemy Guild to purchase medicine pills and inquired if they could travel together. He also asked if Chen Pinggan was seeking to buy medicine pills as well. Chen Pinggan responded that he intended to sell a large quantity of medicine pills, believing they held more value that way. Liu Shuai agreed, mentioning his acquaintances within the Alchemist Guild, which he thought might prove useful. Upon their arrival at the Alchemy Guild, they were greeted by Yimin, who playfully questioned Liu Shuai's unexpected appearance. Noticing Chen Pinggan, she inquired about him and suggested sharing a meal together. Feeling tense, Chen Pinggan politely declined, explaining that he was only there to sell pills. Yimin insisted that he need not be so formal with her and requested to see the pills, promising to purchase them at a fair price. Chen Pinggan reached into his ring, mistakenly producing a snack that he had believed to be pills. Both Liu Shuai and Yimin asked if those were the intended pills. Embarrassed, Chen Pinggan admitted that he was inexperienced in using the newly acquired ring. With a cringe, Yimin asked Liu Shuai if Chen Pinggan was genuinely his friend, to which Liu Shuai replied that he most likely was. He then thoughtfully expressed how Chen Pinggan defeated a Yuan Ying monster and what he was doing now somewhat excessive. Chen Pinggan retrieved something from his ring, accidentally dropping a 10% discount card Bai Gufeng had given to the Pinggan sect. Yimin recognized the card and realized it was the rare purple gold card from the treasure hall, which was rumored to belong exclusively to the hall's owner. As Chen Pinggan finally produced the pills, Yimin apologized and asked him to wait a moment. Yimin hurriedly left, leaving Chen Pinggan puzzled. She suspected that Chen Pinggan was no ordinary person, given his possession of the card, and felt compelled to inform her master. Ximen Chen, the chief of the Alchemist Guild, questioned Long Aoshan about a man who held the treasure hall's hall master's purple gold token and was seeking to sell medicine. Long Aoshan accused Bai Gufeng of being shameless for making such a move. Visibly upset, Bai Gufeng retorted that he had already won, while Ximen Chen urged them to calm down. Ximen Chen informed Yimin that Chen Pinggan was an imposter and that Long Aoshan and Bai Gufeng were already in league with him. He urged her to expel him immediately. Overhearing Ximen Chen's conversation with Yimin, Long Aoshan and Bai Gufeng deduced that it was Chen Pinggan who had disguised himself. Seizing Ximen Chen, Long Aoshan instructed him to treat Chen Pinggan as if he were his own father. Furthermore, Bai Gufeng warned Ximen Chen to remain silent even if his alchemist guild were to be emptied. Puzzled, Simon Chen came to understand that it was Chen Pingyan whom the duo had been boasting about. He then advised Yimin to wait and not throw him out, insisting that the man should be treated with respect and that all his requests must be fulfilled. He threatened that if she were to offend him, he would expel her. Wang Aoshan mentioned that he hadn't anticipated Chen Pingyan's arrival in the northern region so soon and speculated that he might have a new plan in mind. Simon Chen questioned Chen Pingyan's ability to empty the treasure hall without difficulty, simply inquiring why he would struggle to purchase pills. Deep in thought, Simon Chen asserted that Chen Pingyan's need for him was evident, considering he had come to the Northern Region's General Council to locate him. Even though he wasn't there, it was enough to prove his significance. Wang Aoshan considered Simon Chen to be quite thick-skinned. In the meantime, Yimen blushed as she contemplated how she would accommodate Chen Pingyan's demands. Realizing that she had been teasing him for a while, she wondered what might happen if he indeed made such requests. As she returned, she murmured that Chen Pingyan was rather attractive. She boldly asked if he wanted her to give herself to him, causing Chen Pingyan to cringe. Fuming, Boss Duan grumbled about yet another woman flirting with him. After some time, Chen Pingyan expressed surprise at selling so many spiritual jade for 10 third-grade medicines and thanked Liu Shuai's connections. He bought cultivation manuals along the way, intending to study them at home. Chen Pingyan asked the system to return him, which it promptly did. He mumbled that the connections Liu Shuai had helped him find were quite beneficial, and he questioned why women in his world were so eager to give themselves away, adding that he was handsome. A system message appeared, stating that the transmission had been completed. A portal materialized, causing Chen Pingyan to fall face first onto the ground. Infuriated, he demanded an explanation from the system for throwing him out into the air. The system responded with a new message, claiming that there had been an error in the transmission. Chen Pingyan yelled at the system not to make excuses and to reflect on its actions. The dog concluded that it was Chen Pingyan's responsibility to think about what had happened. Muttering under his breath, Chen Pingyan walked away, stating that he was too lazy to care about the system and wondering if Xiao Linger had missed him during his absence. As Xiao Linger lay on a chair, she whispered that the days without Chen Pingyan were quite comfortable. Upon hearing of Chen Pingyan's return, her smile vanished, and she screamed. Just as Xiao Linger was about to greet Chen Pingyan, she hiccuped. Chen Pingyan inquired about the amount of watermelon she had consumed. Meanwhile, in the immortal world, a woman bathed in a pool of blood. Dissatisfied, she murmured that the blood pool was insufficient. She summoned one of her subordinates, who eagerly awaited her instructions. She commanded him to venture into the mortal world and slaughter several cities to replenish the blood pool. Chen Pingyan mumbled the following morning while stretching, realizing that cultivation was indeed a unique thing. Even without sleep, he still felt energized. Curious, Xiao Linger inquired if Chen Pingyan intended to leave her behind once again. He couldn't help but suspect that Xiao Linger was still pretending. In a surprising move, Chen Pingyan told Xiao Linger that he would miss an appointment that day just to spend time with her. Taken aback, Xiao Linger informed Chen Pingyan that missing appointments was irresponsible, but she reassured him that she would be fine since she had someone to play with. Grinning, Chen Pingyan thought to himself that he knew Xiao Linger was pretending and felt fortunate he hadn't stayed in the kingdom. Otherwise, Xiao Linger would have been home alone. He informed her that he might be out running errands frequently, and advised her to moderate her watermelon consumption to prevent another fever. Xiao Linger agreed. As he stepped outside the house, Chen Pingyan waved goodbye to Xiao Linger, who in turn smirked and called for Chopper to come out and play with her. Meanwhile, in the warrior kingdom, Chen Pingyan mumbled about being late as he rushed to find Liu Shuai and the others. Bronze Sword noticed someone from the immortal world had descended and was surprised to discover they were from a certain sect. The dog inquired about the sect, and Bronze Sword explained it was an evil one, relying on human blood for cultivation. He speculated that they might be interested in the blood of the city's mortals, which could disrupt Chen Pingyan's schedule. Bronze Sword resolved to investigate. The blood sect member murmured to himself that a kingdom of such size would provide an abundance of blood. He settled on the kingdom as his target, but Bronze Sword appeared, questioning his choice of location. The stranger recognized Bronze Sword and inquired about his presence there, to which Bronze Sword replied with annoyance. Bronze Sword unsheathed his weapon and struck down the stranger while bidding him farewell. The dog appeared, musing about the vast world and the stranger's unfortunate choice of location. Bronze Sword agreed, mentioning that the stranger he had just killed was not the only one who had descended. They would not bother with cities without the order of Chen Pingyan or others from his yard. Feeling anxious, Grandpa Murong knocked on Chen Pingyan's door, suspecting that he might not be home due to the lack of response. When the 4 experts arrived, Zhen Denteng stated that the others were also gathered at Chen Pingyan's house. Wang Aoshan explained that immortals were slaughtering cities, and Bai Yufeng responded that there was no need to ask, as they were all there for the same reason. Wang Aoshan inquired if Grandpa Murong knew whether Chen Pingyan was home. Grandpa Murong frowned and told Long Aoshin that he believed Chen Pingyan was not home, having come to see him because of the immortals. Long Aoshin was taken aback by Chen Pingyan's absence. Xiao Linger greeted the experts, and Ximen Chen, sensing a powerful presence, mistakenly identified her as Chen Pingyan. Long Aoshin punched Ximen Chen, calling him foolish before clarifying that Xiao Linger was Chen Pingyan's sister. Grandpa Murong informed Xiao Linger that they required Chen Pingyan's assistance and asked if she knew his whereabouts. Xiao Linger replied that Chen Pingyan had gone out and might not return until evening. Concerned, Grandpa Murong informed her that if Chen Pingyan did not return soon, millions of people would suffer. Xiao Linger told them not to bother her brother and reassured them that she could also help. Grandpa Murong asked Xiao Linger if she could see the immortals, to which she confidently replied that it was a simple task. Xiao Linger reached out her hand and seemingly grasped the air, explaining that if Chen Pingyan returned too soon, her plans would be ruined. Therefore, she decided to assist them with this straightforward task herself. With a smile, Xiao Linger informed them that the problem had been resolved. One of the immortals, clearly irritated, inquired of his companion about the whereabouts of the others. Visibly fearful, the companion responded to his superior that while one of them was en route, the other could not be reached for some inexplicable reason. The superior immortal, frustrated, grumbled that his companions seemed incapable of accomplishing even the simplest tasks. Quite unexpectedly, an astral form of Xiao Linger materialized behind them. The immortal superior, caught off guard, prepared to defend against Xiao Linger's imminent attack. Long Aoshin, skeptical, questioned Xiao Linger as to whether the problem had been resolved already. Xiao Linger assured him that it was indeed finished, albeit admitting that she had overlooked one detail. The other immortal, puzzled, noted that he had not encountered his superior, or any of the others at their designated meeting point. Suddenly, he was approached by the astral Xiao Linger, who launched an attack on him. Xiao Linger gleefully announced that she had managed to resolve the situation with a mere snap of her fingers. Grandpa Murong found her demeanor endearing, but he remained unconvinced of Xiao Linger's claims. Bai Gufeng informed the group that they could no longer afford to wait, and needed to locate Chen Pingyan in the northern region. Grandpa Murong countered that venturing there could potentially jeopardize Chen Pingyan's plans in the north, asserting that Chen Pingyan was likely well aware of the situation. Just then, one of Grandpa Murong's subordinates appeared, prompting him to inquire about the matter at hand. The subordinate reported that the immortal who had slaughtered the city had encountered a colossal figure, and had vanished in an instant. Surprised by this news, Grandpa Murong dismissed his subordinate, murmuring that they were perhaps overanalyzing the situation. Xiao Linger, grinning, reminded the group that they owed her their assistance, as she had already helped them. After a moment, Jen Dantang, drenched in sweat, remarked that if Xiao Linger was truly so powerful, Chen Pingyan must be as well. Ximen Chen acknowledged his disbelief that the five of them, all prominent figures from various forces, had come together, struggling to comprehend the reality of the situation. Grandpa Murong expressed his flattery at being included among such esteemed company. Long Aoshin shared his observation that they were like pivotal pawns in an incredible game of chess that Chen Pingyan had orchestrated not long ago, with each of them serving as fingers to manipulate the world. Bai Gufeng came to the realization that he, along with the others, was simply a pawn in Chen Pingyan's grand scheme, and the others swiftly concurred. Meanwhile, in the Immortal Realm's Evil Sect Hall, the Blood General informed the Blood Lord that those who had been sent to the mortal world to gather blood had all perished simultaneously. The Blood Lord surmised that immortals might be roaming the mortal world and instructed the Blood General to personally investigate the matter, as she was in the midst of a critical breakthrough period. Xiao Linger courteously served them watermelons, while praising their diligent efforts. Long Aoshin, taken aback, couldn't help but wonder if she was genuinely offering them the juicy fruit. With a reassuring smile, Xiao Linger advised them not to worry about minor details. Secretly, she grinned wickedly, confident that if Chen Pingyan asked later, she could justify the situation by saying the experts had consumed the watermelons. Grateful, Long Aoshin accepted the watermelons from Xiao Linger. Upon Ziasui's arrival, he politely inquired if he could enter, but Xiao Linger promptly denied his request. Undeterred, Ziasui implored her to show some compassion, and she eventually agreed to let him visit on a monthly basis. Phoenix interjected, questioning if Ziasui hadn't heard Xiao Linger's initial refusal. Furthermore, the little fish informed him that Chen Pingyan was currently away from home. Curious, Ximen Chen and Jen Dentang pondered over the identity of the mysterious guest, and the reason behind his bold intrusion into Chen Pingyan's home. Bai Gufeng admitted that even with his superior cultivation, he was clueless about the stranger's identity. Long Aoshin finally revealed that the guest was none other than the Immortal Emperor, a revelation that Bai Gufeng acknowledged with surprise. The three experts were understandably shocked by this information. Cordial, Long Aoshin greeted Ziasui, who in turn asked about Long Aoshin's purpose at Chen Pingin's residence. Long Aoshin introduced the others as Chen Pingin's pawns and explained that they were searching for him. As time passed, they exchanged information to bring Ziasui up to speed on the situation. Upon reviewing the details, Ziasui deduced that the massacre had likely been carried out by an evil sect from the immortal realm. He shared that he was also investigating the matter, but so far had uncovered no leads. Sensing someone approaching, he invited the group to accompany him to investigate further. The Blood General arrived at the Warrior Kingdom, murmuring that the first missing immortal had been in this location, and that other immortals should have detected her presence. She spotted Long Aoshin and the others enjoying their watermelons. Long Aoshin commented on the fruit's sweetness as Bai Yufeng and Zhen Denteng moved forward. Suddenly, Ziasui appeared beside the Blood General and casually inquired if she was searching for him. Caught off guard, the Blood General realized the Immortal Emperor was standing before her. The Immortal Emperor forcefully choked her, threatening that if she didn't reveal everything she knew, he would destroy her immortal base and subject her to 1,000 years of torture. Desperately struggling, the Blood General couldn't comprehend why the Immortal Emperor was in the mortal world, and she thought that even the Blood Monarch's presence wouldn't necessitate such a direct intervention. Resorting to an escape technique, she attempted to flee the Immortal Emperor. Ziasui calmly muttered that she couldn't possibly evade him. As a portal opened, the Blood General emerged, resigning herself to the fact that there was no escaping the Immortal Emperor. In a desperate act, she cast a spell designed to annihilate everything within a 100-mile radius, including herself. Feeling upset, Ziasui humbly informed the Blood General that her skills were insignificant compared to his. He came to the realization that he could not use his power. The Blood General, grinning, understood that even if the Immortal Emperor had appeared in the human world, he would still have a concern, one that she hadn't anticipated would involve mortals. Ziasui found himself perplexed, uncertain of whether to take action or remain still. Subsequently, Long Aoshin whispered to Ziasui, urging him not to hesitate before eliminating the Blood General, for if he failed to do so, more mortals would suffer in the future. He reassured Long Aoshin that saving mortals wouldn't pose a problem and mentioned that among the hostages she had taken was Chen Pingin. Chen Pingin, equally perplexed, questioned his companions as to why they were all standing motionless. When Liu Shuai sensed the terrifying pressure and murderous intent, he deduced that it must be another immortal, as the energy was the same as that emitted by the immortal sword. Pan Hang, realizing he was unable to speak or move, wondered if it was due to fear or some form of suppression. Nevertheless, he felt compelled to rescue Tian Shan Shan, even if the odds were slim. Pan Hang was taken aback when Chen Pingin advanced, curious about his intentions. Although he didn't particularly like Chen Pingin, he couldn't help but worry about him confronting the Blood General and potentially getting killed. Anxiously, the dog inquired of the Bronze Sword what they should do. Bronze Sword contemplated that even if the individual's strength was inferior to his own, if he couldn't reveal himself, engaging in a serious battle would prove highly dangerous. Upon noticing Chen Pingin approaching her, the Blood General questioned why he wasn't affected by her ki, despite being in the initial stage of Danshin formation. Chen Pingin initiated a conversation with the Blood General, asking if there was anything he could assist her with. Taken aback, the Blood General informed him that he was her hostage and expressed her bewilderment about his actions. Sighing, Chen Pingin mentioned that if she ever encountered bandits or something similar, he wouldn't be surprised, given the worsening state of the world, and he hadn't expected things like forcibly abducting civilian girls to still occur. Confused, the Blood General wondered what Chen Pingin was talking about. Perceiving him as peculiar, she decided to start by attacking him. As the Blood General launched a powerful strike at Chen Pingin, the ground cracked beneath them. Chen Pingin merely smiled, leaving the Blood General perplexed and astonished that she couldn't penetrate his defenses. Gently, Chen Pingin grasped the Blood General's hands, reassuring her not to be afraid. He then handed her spirit stones, promising her safety as long as she encountered them. He informed her that the individuals behind him were incredibly powerful. The Blood General felt a flutter in her heart, realizing that Chen Pingin treated her like an ordinary girl, something she hadn't experienced in 1,000 years. He even gifted her spirit stones. Chen Pingin advised her to return home. As the Blood General crushed the spirit stones in her hand, she decided she wanted to uncover the secrets Chen Pingin possessed. However, she found herself immobilized when she attempted to attack him. Suspecting a spatial blockade, she came to the realization that not even the Immortal Emperor could have obstructed space in such a manner, and she wondered who was responsible. Finally, Boss Duan informed the Blood General that she was not yet worthy of laying a finger on Chen Pingin. As the blue circle attacked the Blood General, she let out a piercing scream. Once the space blockage disappeared, Chen Pingyan quickly noticed that the blood general was nowhere to be found. Concerned, Tian Shan inquired if Chen Pingyan was alright. Chen Pingyan reassured her that he was fine, but expressed curiosity about the recent events. Fei Shang proceeded to explain the entire situation to Chen Pingyan. Shocked, Chen Pingyan learned that they had been overpowered by the blood general's pressure and immobilized, and that the blood general had actually tried to kill him. Bewildered, Pan Hang asked if Chen Pingyan had managed to handle the situation. Chen Pingyan speculated that his lack of a spiritual root to sense the enemy's power might be the reason he didn't suffer from the pressure, but he wondered how he could possibly fight such a formidable foe. He insisted that he was too weak to have attacked the blood general, and suggested that they ask Liu Shuai if they didn't believe him. Liu Shuai agreed with Chen Pingyan, who felt that even Liu Shuai didn't fully believe him. Tian Shan sighed, expressing her hope that they would never face such a dangerous situation again. She acknowledged that everyone's mood had been dampened, so they wouldn't be continuing their training that day. Tian Shan surmised that a hidden expert might have come to their rescue. Disappointed, Chen Pingyan mumbled that he hadn't practiced enough. In response, Liu Shuai offered to make it up to him with some leisurely strolling. However, Liu Shuai soon received emergency news from his home. Meanwhile, Long Aoshin suggested that a powerful force was at play and expressed disappointment that he hadn't seen Chen Pingyan fight, as he believed that the Black Flood Dragon and the immortal weapon had secretly demonstrated their power. Ziyasui argued that just moments ago, the force of heaven and earth could have easily penetrated the entire continent, and it was most likely not the work of the Black Dragon and the immortal weapon. He assumed that it must be someone he knew. Grandpa Murong pondered if Chen Pingyan was actually in the northern region. Zhen Danteng replied that he believed Chen Pingyan might have taken a liking to someone in those few knots and wanted to support them. Simon Chen informed the group that when Chen Pingyan visited his general association a few days earlier, he was accompanied by a second-rank array mage named Liu Shuai. Upon hearing this, the experts all simultaneously said Liu Shuai's name. At Liu's mansion, the Grand Elder advised Liu Kai not to force the issue, as they were family. He told Liu Kai that his strength was greater than his and that as long as he relinquished his position as patriarch, he would not make things difficult for him, and the family would be stronger than it was now. Liu Kai responded that the position had been bestowed upon him by his father on his deathbed, and he couldn't simply hand it over. When the Grand Elder realized that Liu Kai wouldn't accept his offer, he attacked him, knocking Liu Kai to the ground. He demanded to know if Liu Kai would relinquish his position or not. Defiantly, Liu Kai stated that there was no way he would give up his position to the Grand Elder. Just as the Grand Elder was about to strike him, Liu Shuai intervened, preventing the punch from landing on his father. Surprised, Liu Kai questioned why Liu Shuai had returned. Liu Shuai explained that he couldn't ignore such a critical situation. He confronted the Grand Elder, accusing him of trying to rebel, and warning that if he wanted to kill Liu Kai, he would have to get through him first. The Grand Elder dismissed the notion, saying he had assumed someone more significant had arrived, but it turned out to be just Liu Shuai. He told Liu Shuai that his strength alone wouldn't be enough to stop him and prepared to punch him. At that moment, the experts arrived, introduced themselves, and mentioned that they had come for a visit. The Grand Elder was puzzled as to why these prominent figures had suddenly shown up, thinking there was no way the Liu family could be connected to them. Liu Kai scolded Liu Shuai for not listening to him and for continuing to work at the stall, wondering if Liu Shuai had offended anyone. Liu Shuai denied having offended anyone. The Grand Elder smirked, thinking that he could now justify his forced takeover of the patriarch position since he had been concerned that some family members might not be convinced. Bai Gufeng inquired about the location of the Liu family head. Long Aoshin questioned why Bai Gufeng was in such a hurry. Bai Gufeng reasoned that he should take this opportunity to please Chen Pingyan before Long Aoshin could seize it. The Grand Elder welcomed the visitors and introduced himself as the Liu family's Grand Elder. Bai Gufeng punched the Grand Elder, telling him that if he wasn't the patriarch, he should step aside because they were in a hurry. Long Aoshin inquired as to why Bai Gufeng was in such a hurry, informing him that they had merely come to visit and had no intention of attacking anyone upon arrival. Bai Gufeng agreed, conceding that he had been merely impulsive. He grasped the Grand Elder's hand, admitting that he had been in haste and hadn't paid attention to his surroundings, offering an apology. The Grand Elder assured Bai Gufeng that everything was fine as long as he was content. Simon Chen initiated a conversation with Liu Shuai, inquiring if the man beside him was his father, the leader of the Liu family. Zhen Danteng questioned Liu Kai about who had assaulted him. The Grand Elder admitted that he was the one who had beaten Liu Kai, explaining that Liu Kai had offended his seniors and deserved punishment. Bai Gufeng grabbed the Grand Elder, asking if he had injured him. The Grand Elder confirmed this with a trembling voice. Without hesitation, Bai Gufeng hurled the Grand Elder into the air and instructed him to leave. He sighed, lamenting that it was all due to misfortune. Liu Shuai greeted the gathered experts. Long Aoshin responded that there was no need for formalities, mentioning that Chen Pingyan was interested in cultivating Liu Shuai, and that they were merely carrying out Chen Pinggen's wishes by visiting him. Long Aoshan retrieved a ring from his attire and informed Liu Shuai that it was a gift, consisting of half the assets of his Tianzin Tower branch. Bai Yufeng followed suit, presenting Liu Shuai with a ring as a congratulatory gift, containing half of the treasure hall's assets. Simon Chen offered Liu Shuai a ring encompassing half of the assets of the Alchemist Guild headquarters. Frustrated, Zhen Dentang felt they were belittling him for not opening more branches, so he took a ring from Shushan Immortal Academy and gifted it to Liu Shuai. Feeling overwhelmed, Liu Shuai told the experts that he could not accept their generous gifts. Long Aoshan held Liu Shuai's hand, insisting that he accept the gifts as it was all for the sake of Chen Pinggen, and wishing him a prosperous future. Liu Kai thought that the combined assets the experts had given to Liu Shuai were worth more than an entire kingdom. He questioned Liu Shuai about whether the senior the experts were referring to had visited his store. Liu Shuai informed Liu Kai that he hadn't anticipated meeting such an influential person and revealed that he would not open the store. Liu Kai's smile widened, encouraging Liu Shuai not to close it, but to strive for success and expand by opening more branches. Meanwhile, Chen Pinggen grumbled about becoming wealthy, never expecting to find so many treasures while roaming the mountains. He chuckled, reflecting on how the treasures he discovered were lost by cultivators from various paths, and mused that such treasure hunting was more profitable than chopping wood and collecting herbs in the mountains. As Chen Pinggen heard something and turned around, Yang Ming, the prince of the warrior kingdom, wondered why an astral demonic beast was present. He assumed they would all be massacred by the beast and hoped for a miracle that could save them. Observing Chen Pinggen running towards the beast, Yang Ming realized he was only at the first stage of Danshan formation and presumed he had come to provide an extra meal for the beast. Astonishingly, everyone was baffled when the beast let out a scream of shock. The dog emitted a fearful aura, causing the demonic beast to emit a piercing scream. Chen Pinggen urgently instructed the fleeing beast to halt, and surprisingly, it obeyed. This left Chen Pinggen utterly bewildered. Meanwhile, Yang Ming hypothesized that Chen Pinggen had inadvertently frightened the monster. He couldn't fathom how he could have stopped the beast, considering he was only in the first stage of the Danshan realm. Intrigued, Chen Pinggen commanded the beast to sit, and it promptly complied. Yang Ming was utterly perplexed, wondering how Chen Pinggen had managed this feat and speculating whether the creature's species had somehow transformed into that of a dog. Chen Pinggen quietly questioned if the beast had indeed been subdued. Reflecting on the creature's apparent weakness, he yearned for an encounter with a monster similar to the bear from a previous experience, one that would allow him to execute more complex maneuvers. Curious, Chen Pinggen inquired if the beast was afraid of him, prompting the creature's eyes to widen in terror. Upon inspecting the dog, the beast realized it was indeed terrified. Chen Pinggen expressed his confusion, suspecting that his key bug was responsible for the creature's fear. He reasoned that although the bug was ineffective on humans, it must have worked on monsters. Grateful, Yang Ming thanked Chen Pinggen for rescuing them, to which he humbly responded that their safety was all that mattered. Seeking clarification, Yang Ming questioned Chen Pinggen's cultivation level, suspecting that his strength must exceed the origin realm to have so effortlessly suppressed an astral realm monster. He doubted Chen Pinggen's claim that his body emitted Danshan realm ki. Chen Pinggen assured him that his cultivation was as it appeared and urged him not to worry. He suggested that Yang Ming appeared healthier than his companions for some particular reason. Taking the hint, Yang Ming solemnly promised not to bother Chen Pinggen further and prepared to leave. Chen Pinggen advised them to exercise caution and remain safe during their journey. As they walked, one of the prince's men remarked that even Yang Ming couldn't discern Chen Pinggen's cultivation level. Yang Ming admitted his uncertainty, surmising that it was far beyond the astral realm, to the extent that they would be incapable of comprehending it. He instructed his men to stop discussing the matter, as Chen Pinggen had requested they not worry about it. Yang Ming emphasized that if they couldn't understand what Chen Pinggen had accomplished, the world was as limited as a small field to them. He contemplated the significance of Chen Pinggen's presence in the kingdom, resolving to report the matter to his father at the earliest opportunity. In the meantime, Chen Pinggen pondered his next move. Given the influence of his key bug, he doubted he would find any monsters to practice his skills on. He instructed the tame demonic beast to guide him to another monster, and together they ventured into the mountains. Upon encountering a gorilla, Chen Pinggen prepared to employ a specific technique. However, before he could do so, the gorilla knelt in submission, effectively expanding the size of the team. An immense cloud of smoke billowed through the forest just an hour later. Consequently, a group of people received instructions to remain on high alert. One man, curious about the cause of the uproar, posed a question regarding its origin. Long Aoshan and the other seniors accompanying him were met by the head of the beast management, who expressed gratitude for their help in intercepting the beast's tide. Long Aoshan clarified to the beast management head that their presence was due to other reasons, and they sought to discuss the situation with him. Simon Chen recalled the last beast tide he had witnessed decades earlier, which was triggered by someone who hunted and killed the young cub of a Mahayana Peak monster. In response, the monster led thousands of other beasts across the land, devastating half of the entire kingdom. The head informed the group that the tide was heading towards the kingdom, and that a staggering 10,000 monsters were being controlled by someone. The experts were taken aback upon hearing the sheer number of creatures involved. Bai Gufeng speculated that it was an attack on the kingdom and wondered who could possibly command such a vast horde of monsters, and if the perpetrator was immortal. Wang Eashan noted that Ziyasugi had left peacefully, indicating the lack of troublesome immortals in the mortal realm. Nevertheless, he expressed curiosity about the source of the ongoing disturbances and his duty to safeguard the city's residents. Suddenly, someone shouted that the tide was approaching. Both Long Eashan and Bai Gufeng's eyes widened in shock. Long Eashan muttered that he was no longer surprised, and it seemed as though it didn't matter anymore. Bai Gufeng mused that it wasn't surprising, deeming it somewhat normal. Simon Chen added that he had witnessed such occurrences before. The management head, taken aback, reminded them that they had just declared they wouldn't abandon thousands of people and now appeared to have given up. Long Eashan revealed that they had indeed given up, and that the only individual who could control the tide was Chen Pingyan. Chen Pingyan was bewildered by the large gathering before him. He paused and informed Long Eashan that encountering him in the area was merely a coincidence. The head of the beast management, still confused, doubted that Chen Pingyan was the one controlling the tide. He mentioned that as the head of the department, he too had some proficiency in controlling monsters, but had never witnessed it on such a grand scale. He then noticed the dog and was astonished by the dragon breath emanating from the creature. Long Eashan explained to Chen Pingyan that they had assumed it was a beast tide attack they needed to prepare for, and perhaps they had overthought the situation. Chen Pingyan responded that he had summoned the beasts for a specific purpose, and assured Long Eashan there was no danger. He then ordered the monster to depart, which it promptly did, tearing through the trees and startling Chen Pingyan. Chen Pingyan nervously warned the people behind him that his actions were quite perilous and should not be replicated in the future. The head of the management wondered who could possibly imitate what he had done. Sometime later, Chen Pingyan returned to his home, mumbling that he hadn't realized the tide was so severe, and that he needed to go to Feishan the following day to discuss the matter of the tournament. As he announced his arrival to the household, he was greeted by Boss Duan. Visibly shocked, Chen Pingyan inquired about what Boss Duan was doing in his house. In response, Boss Duan explained that she intended to reside there temporarily. She further informed Chen Pingyan that 5 years prior, her uncle had owned the house and had entrusted it to her before leaving. Boss Duan admitted that she hadn't really cared about the place, but since her bookstore required renovation, she had to return and stay there for a while. Bewildered, Chen Pingyan consulted the system for an explanation. The system confirmed the truth of Boss Duan's statement, adding that the property had originally belonged to her uncle, who had relocated to a distant place, and it was during this time that the system had borrowed it. In utter disbelief, Chen Pingyan demanded to know why the system hadn't mentioned this earlier. Flirtatiously, Boss Duan informed Chen Pingyan that she couldn't find another temporary residence and requested him to be accommodating. As time passed, she casually mentioned how comfortable it was to take a bath. Feeling nervous, Chen Pingyan surmised that Boss Duan was intentionally flirting with him, and he regretted allowing her to stay. Suddenly, Boss Duan embraced Chen Pingyan from behind, teasingly asking if he was uncomfortable or perhaps thinking of something inappropriate. Meanwhile, Xiao Linger observed the scene, and Chen Pingyan, now fuming, reminded Boss Duan of the child's presence, urging her to be more discreet in both her attire and behavior. Boss Duan simply laughed at Chen Pingyan's concern, stating that everyone present was acquainted and that there was no need to worry about minor details. She then announced her intention to sleep, playfully warning Chen Pingyan not to do anything strange to her during the night. Feeling shocked and confused, Chen Pingyan wondered what she meant by strange things. He exited the house, grumbling that nobody would entertain such thoughts. Xiao Linger, equally perplexed, decided to focus on eating her watermelon instead. As Chen Pingyan sat on his bed, he couldn't help but think that Boss Duan was a dangerous person, and every encounter with her seemed to involve teasing or poking. Worried that she might enter his room at night, he resolved to lock it for safety. Chen Pingyan tried to relax, telling himself not to overthink the situation and planning to search for alternative accommodation for Boss Duan the following day. However, the next morning, Chen Pingyan awoke to find himself embracing Boss Duan. Chen Pingyan was taken aback, puzzled as to why he found himself sleeping in Boss Duan's room. He considered the possibility that he had sleepwalked, but since he had never exhibited any sleepwalking tendencies in all these years, he couldn't help but wonder what was happening. As Boss Duan stretched, Chen Pingyan grew increasingly anxious. He deduced that he needed to make a swift exit before being discovered. Just then, Xiao Linger inquired if Boss Duan was awake, causing Chen Pingyan to tremble. His face turned pale upon being exposed. Confused, Xiao Linger blushed and assured him she hadn't seen anything. In response, Chen Pingyan hastily made an excuse, insisting he hadn't done anything improper and urged Xiao Linger not to let her imagination run wild. When Boss Duan finally awoke, she greeted Chen Pingyan and questioned his presence in her room. Stammering, he returned her greeting and explained he was there to call her for breakfast. When she inquired about the whereabouts of the meal, he admitted that it wasn't quite ready yet. Later that morning, as Chen Pingyan nervously ate his food, Boss Duan remarked on how well she had slept the previous night, claiming it was the best rest she'd had in months. Chen Pingyan secretly hoped she hadn't discovered anything. Subsequently, Xiao Linger playfully asked Chen Pingyan if she should start referring to Boss Duan as her sister-in-law, which caused him to accidentally spill food on her. Annoyed, Xiao Linger scolded him for the mess. Chen Pingyan retorted, questioning why she had to make such absurd remarks. Boss Duan gently wiped the food from Xiao Linger's face and told Chen Pingyan that she was only speaking in his best interest, reminding him that, at 20 years old, it was time for him to find a wife. Chen Pingyan reflected on the fact that, due to his preoccupation with the system erasure factor, he hadn't given much thought to everything that had transpired earlier. He acknowledged that the system hadn't presented such issues during its upgrade. Nonetheless, he pondered whether spending an extended period in the current world might eventually cause him to forget what his wife looked like. Boss Duan called out to Chen Pingyan, inquiring if something was on his mind and asking about the proposal she had made. Chen Pingyan questioned her about the proposal, to which Boss Duan responded that she would become his wife. Flustered, Chen Pingyan coughed, informing them that he had finished eating and had something to do that day. Thus, he needed to leave immediately. Xiao Linger commented that Chen Pingyan was extremely bothersome and couldn't bring himself to say no. Boss Duan playfully pinched Xiao Linger's cheek, warning her that one day Chen Pingyan would find out the truth, and if she tried to give him hints, Boss Duan would confiscate all her watermelons. Boss Duan then muttered that it wasn't the right time yet. Meanwhile, in the Warrior Kingdom, Chen Pingyan decided to set aside the Boss Duan matter for the time being, as the tournament was taking place the following day, and failure to complete the task would lead to severe consequences. He then noticed Tian Shanshan and the others. Approaching Miss Tian, Chen Pingyan mentioned that he had been searching for her, and didn't expect to encounter her by such a coincidence. He inquired about the whereabouts of the other member. Miss Tian questioned if they knew each other and asked for his name. Chen Pingyan introduced himself as Long Aoshan. The man beside Miss Tian asked if she was acquainted with Chen Pingyan, but she denied ever having met him before. Surprised, Chen Pingyan informed her about the upcoming tournament. A large, muscular man stepped in front of Chen Pingyan, ordering him to leave as he wasn't taking the situation seriously by hitting on his martial arts tournament teammates. Chen Pingyan wondered if she was indeed his tournament teammate, and speculated that Miss Tian must have teamed up with someone else, finding it difficult to pretend that they weren't acquainted. Chen Pingyan told Miss Tian that he would assume he had mistaken her for someone else and would see her at the tournament. The muscular man insulted Chen Pingyan, mocking his first layer of Danshan and his audacity to challenge them. As Chen Pingyan walked away, he paused momentarily. The dog urged the bronze sword to eliminate the man, but the bronze sword replied that he wanted to, but could not act due to the large crowd. Challenging the muscular man to a match, Chen Pingyan was told to get lost, as the man didn't want to bully someone as weak as him. Chen Pingyan retorted, questioning whether the man was afraid or simply didn't dare to fight, adding that those who constantly insult others were no better themselves. The bronze sword and the dog cheered for Chen Pingyan. The muscular man, identified as the Prime Minister's son, Moyi, agreed to fight Chen Pingyan, asking the crowd to disperse. A bystander wondered why Moyi was in conflict with someone in the first layer of Danshan formation. Moyi inquired how Chen Pingyan wanted to conduct the fight, to which he replied that they would begin at the count of 1. Moyi warned Chen Pingyan that he had tried to save him from embarrassment, but if he insisted on fighting, he should not be blamed for knocking him out. After counting down, Chen Pingyan delivered a punch, knocking Moyi to the ground, much to his surprise. Moyi accused Chen Pingyan of disregarding martial ethics and engaging in sneak attacks, claiming that he didn't appear to be a righteous man. Stamping his foot, Chen Pingyan reminded Moyi that he had said they would start after counting to 1 and had never mentioned counting to 3. The audience looked on with concern, wondering what was wrong with Chen Pingyan. Enraged, Moyi stood up and declared that enough was enough. He accused Chen Pingyan of being adept at stepping on others and announced that he would rip Chen Pingyan's legs off that day. Moyi enveloped his body in a yellow ki before skillfully demonstrating his rushing thunder technique. Stunned, Chen Pingyan pondered that the essence of martial arts, according to the book, involves controlling one's ki, and he deduced that the lightning surrounding Moyi's body was a manifestation of this control. He asserted that it didn't appear to be particularly difficult. As Moyi leaped and prepared to attack Chen Pingyan managed to dodge Moyi's assault, which left Moyi bewildered since Chen Pingyan seemed to employ the same martial arts techniques as him. Anticipating that Chen Pingyan would use his feet next, Moyi was caught off guard when Chen Pingyan instead slapped him, causing him to tumble to the ground. Chen Pingyan informed him that it was merely a bluff. Concerned, Miss Tian rushed over to Moyi and inquired if he was alright. She then questioned Chen Pingyan about his identity, wondering why he was obstructing others' paths and attacking people without reason. Chen Pingyan replied, suggesting that perhaps he was the one who was mistaken, and that there were 2 identical versions of her in the Warrior Kingdom. Tian Shanchen greeted Chen Pingyan and asked about his intentions. Chen Pingyan came to the realization that there were indeed two versions of them. Tian Leichai queried Tian Shanshan if Chen Pingyan was on her team, to which Tian Shanshan affirmed. Tian Leichai then divulged to Tian Shanshan her plan to strike her team before the tournament. Tian Shanshan responded, saying that she was unaware of what had transpired. Chen Pingyan speculated that their identical appearances must be a coincidence, as they could be twins, and he admitted to his own misunderstanding. Tian Shanshan informed Tian Leichai that it was likely a misunderstanding that could be resolved through a reconciliation discussion. Infuriated, Moe stood up and declared that he had been insulted twice in the street. He couldn't accept that it was all a mere misunderstanding and demanded that Chen Pingyan pay with his life. At that moment, Liu Shuai intervened and greeted Moe, warning him not to touch Chen Pingyan. Surprised, Moe reciprocated Liu Shuai's greeting and asked for clarification on his statement. Liu Shuai explained that the situation was a misunderstanding and there was no need for conflict. Disappointed, Moe contended that being beaten twice was more than just a misunderstanding. He also wondered about the fortunate turn of events for the Liu family, who had risen from obscurity to prominence. Liu Shuai offered Moe the opportunity to spar with him, requesting that he refrain from hitting his face since he had an upcoming meeting with his uncle, the king. Impressed, Chen Pingyan whispered that Liu Shuai was truly remarkable, and assumed that he must have a significant background to be able to converse with the king. Liu Shuai smiled, considering Chen Pingyan's performance to be rather thorough. Moe requested permission to leave, conceding that the entire ordeal was indeed a misunderstanding, and that he would depart immediately. Liu Shuai thought that Chen Pingyan could easily eliminate both of them with a simple gesture, but he also understood that Chen Pingyan was currently masquerading as an ordinary person. He considered that killing people on the street would impact the forthcoming tournament, and surmised that Chen Pingyan might have anticipated his intervention. Chen Pingyan apologized to Tian Shanchen for instigating a conflict between siblings, but Tian Shanchen reassured him that it was fine, as their relationship had always been strained due to various circumstances. She then urged them to commence their training. Within the sinister sect from the immortal world, Ziasui made his arrival and quietly murmured that he had discovered the evil sect's territory. He expressed his disdain for their cultivation methods and revealed that Chen Pingyan was aware of their existence. Ziasui believed that stumbling upon their territory was a sign that he should eradicate them. Gathering key in his hand, Ziasui whispered that no notice was necessary. Consequently, an immense golden key circle materialized, and he commanded the annihilation of the entire sect. A colossal golden sword then obliterated the evil sect's territory. Amidst the chaos, he observed the Blood Lord attempting to escape. The Blood Lord muttered that it was no surprise that the individuals she had sent to the mortal world had perished, realizing it was the work of another immortal. She wondered why the immortal emperor was taking such actions personally. Ziasui, with his sword pointed at her, inquired about her destination. Defiantly, the Blood Lord claimed that Ziasui could not kill her, as he knew who was above her in power. She warned him that if he dared to kill her, he would face his own doom. Undeterred, Ziasui decapitated the Blood Lord, murmuring that he would face whatever consequences arose. Meanwhile, in the divine world, a portly man informed another man he was playing with that the demon seed he had planted in a certain immortal world had been destroyed. He was puzzled by this turn of events. The slender man suggested that it could be the desolated immortal world that was responsible. Surprised, the rotund man asked how he had come to that conclusion. The thin man explained that his group had injured a dragon, which he believed had crashed into the desolated realm of immortals. Although there was no concrete evidence, he had an intuition that something disastrous would occur if they continued on their path. The portly man conceded that there might be someone more powerful than them in the immortal world and agreed that it was time to send someone to investigate. After some time had passed, Ziasui let out a sigh of relief and muttered that the issue had been resolved. Suddenly, a golden door materialized in the sky above, capturing Ziasui's attention. He was taken aback as the door opened and suspected that the individual emerging was from the divine world. The mysterious figure